problems. So this is just general stuff that we've been going through this afternoon about issues that service providers might have when connecting to your federation and wanting access to your users, and the issues that the users might experience if attributes aren't released. The next thing I just want to talk about is services from eduGAIN. So some services, not all services, will exhibit their membership in various entity categories. And those that do, they should be relatively fine with getting the attributes they want. Interesting. They're okay for IDPs that support entity categories. So if you start promoting the use of entity categories in your federation, get your IDPs to support all of these entity categories, get all your processes and policies and technology working so that they're doing the entity category stuff, then when you start opening up your federation to services within eduGAIN to allow your researchers to access those services, there should be minimal problems in getting those attributes. And if you do have problems, contact the federation operator where that service provider lives. Now, I've got one in Australia that's trying to access IDPs. That's a different problem, but I didn't contact PAL at the time, so I'm going to follow that up when I get home to see what we can do to get that sorted. But if your researchers are complaining they can't get to a particular service, and that service has got the ND category and the IDP is supporting that ND category, then there should not be a problem and it should be able to be sorted relatively easily.
Sometimes there can be a mismatch between the use of empty categories I learned, how they use them, how they define certain things. Sometimes this is quite interesting. They define the attributes different way in metadata and release. That can be a real problem. So some services saying they are in entity category, and the IDP send in SAML 2, but the service looks at them at SAML 1.1, and then it doesn't work. And that's bad.
You still got things running SAML 1.
Apparently, we are SAML 2 only federation, for example.
Fairly close to that, not at that point. So services without entity categories that are coming in from eduGAIN, they're going to be an issue because there's no way to automate the release of attributes to them based on what their federation is telling you or what the service provider's metadata is telling you. So we have a number of these for our federation. We allow all research and scholarship services in. We will allow all anonymous, pseudo-anonymous, and personalized ND categories in once we have majority of RDP supporting that. Then there's a chunk of services that don't do ND categories at all in eduGAIN. Yeah.
Or unknown entity categories.
Oh, yeah, local ND categories. So we're only going to support the ones that refeds do or the ones that AF define. And to get around this issue, and actually these services that don't do ND categories at all, we need our IDPs to request them because they have a specific need or a researcher who wants to access a service, and either the federation or the service provider doesn't do the ND category for whatever reason. And as a first cut, you might actually go to that service provider or go to the federation operator, say, hey, we want this service. And if they don't do an ND category, looks like they could benefit from having this one. Can you arrange that? Now that will take time if it's going to happen at all.
And that's the only way we are doing it nowadays.
We're going to do some nasty stuff.
We are very, very annoying to services. If you don't have any categories, you don't get any data. Weeds.
We're Aussies.
And researchers trust us.
A lot of the services that are bad are generally publishers, not research services. So we get the odd and occasional request to have attributes provided to these service providers. So our current thinking is to define our own entity category, Australian Access Federation specific entity category, which we will decorate these service providers with, and saying this has been an approved service into the AAF. That's obviously not the way Power would do it. And we probably would need to also enhance or decorate the incoming service provider with the attributes that it needs. It's a bit of extra work on our part, but if our IDPs want these services, and the services aren't willing to move, and then something's got to give, because that's what we do in the middle. That's the way the Aussies roll. Now it's up to you how you want to roll. If you want to be nasty like the Swedes and say, no, you're not getting anything until you play the game right, which is probably the better way to go. But some of the federations out there just have no idea. So we're sort of trying to get them. And we'll go and hassle the federation operators as well. We'll do the background stuff. But our researchers want access today or yesterday to these services. The other way of doing it is to go to each IDP that wants this service and ask them to configure up a bilateral service filter for that attribute release for that service. And that's not scalable at all. It doesn't work that way.
It works with some services. So import enough services. It works well. Not day-to-day services.
Yeah. So that's you got two options. Ignore, force the issue.
Commercial service providers, it's easier to get them do stuff because they want to sell the product. And if you have legislation in your country that does around personal data protection, use that as a leverage. Or other legislation, for example, we are using the Swedish library laws to get to see that they publishers doesn't get too much data. We are saying, oh, you want to sell to us? Please follow our law.
So there's a couple of options there. Nasty, do it by the law is probably the better way to go. If there's pressure on you to make it happen, then you'll need to do something. The third option is to
Community services are the hardest one.
Yeah.
A service that's some researcher sets up for other researchers. That's the hard one. But they are mostly often more easy to talk to, that so they register entity categories.
But that's all I've got. Quick. Except you want to talk about Cocoa at all, or are we done with that?
The Cocoa entity category. So you heard about COCO. COCO stands for Data Protection Code of Conduct. It's best practice document defining how to release personal data based on entity category release. It's two documents. The first is the long document describing how you do this within European law. That's not the one you have up now. That document is quite important because that defines also who can use the category. For services, the nice thing with COCO is that you can request whatever attribute as long as you have a privacy preserving reason to why you're using it. The hard part is that you must be a GDPR country or a whitelisted country or part of country. That's the hard part. So, for example,
What's that statement?
yeah, this is very European, as you see. This is based on law. So, for example, US, we can only have services expressing COCO from the US that are sorting under Department of Commerce, not the Department of Education, because that's what the white listing is about. With that said, it's totally okay for you to let your IDPs base their release decisions on COCO, of course. But you cannot put in COCO into services. So if you go down even further, what it's used for, you can go even further than that, even further than that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can go up again. It's not here. So we use a specific part of the metadata to define what attributes are required. We put into metadata the required attributes. We also put in that they are required to true. Otherwise, you don't care. Required means that you really, really, really need them to make the service work. It's not about good enough. We want them. No, we need them to make the service work. One way or another. You need to, in the privacy policy, be able to describe why you need them. And I'm personally hunting services that has COCO outside Europe, because it's very, very important that all the services marked with COCO is only services that fulfill the requirement from GDPR.
I think New Zealand's fine.
New Zealand is fine. Parts of Australia are fine. Part of Japan is fine, and so on. So there is a European Commission published whitelist. Yeah. Could be in the middle document there.
It's this one.
Yeah, that's the real code of conduct. This is a document that defines code of conduct. So that one. Yeah. Interesting problem you have here.
Oh, it's Nicole knows about this. There's several times. Best practice.
Yeah, there's that one. So this is the formal definition written by lawyers. So this is heavy duty. And that's why we are so hard on this. This is a way for us to be able to release data quite easily.
This is Article 46, which defines that whitelist.
Yeah, it is. There is a link somewhere in this document also to that whitelist. Yeah, appropriate safeguards. It may be also Article 45. Yeah, it's 45, I think. Then that it is. There we go. A divisible decision. So that is a good way. What you may want to do is for your national services to create something like this. Because then you are able to handle other attributes and the small, mostly harmless attributes.
So you're saying we can do COCO as a service?
No, you can. No, you should build your own entity category based on the same rule book.
How do we get European?
I say for local services.
Right.
Yeah. You will never get European service IDPs to do stuff. That's really, really true. And be careful here. You can be liable if you use COCO outside Europe. You can get the heavy hammer on you from the Commission. So be very careful to use COCO if you don't. We did the heavy hammer on Oman, and they disappeared from the map. Yeah, that's that.
Okay. And the final thing, Pal's going to give us a quick demonstration of one of the tools their federation uses to do checking and verification of attribute releases based on entity categories.
You need to stop sharing.
Yeah. Could you stop sharing my screen?
I am connected to.
Yep. Go back to show the Zoom.
I will not stand up. I will sit here. And I will try to get that. Yeah, we got it. It will be there. Yeah, here it is. We have attribute release check tool. This tool is open for everyone. It really is open for everyone. It's releasecheck.swamid.se. We have Swamid specific tests, but if you are non-Swedish IDP, they will not be used. So I will run all the tests. So I can go here, for example, go to attributes, log in, and show my attributes. Now I will use an IDP that is just releasing good enough. So, I'm using my standard unit IDP, not my news unit IDP. So here is all the attributes that we have. You see eduperson, my display name, my eduperson assurance. You got Swedish values and you got refets values. And in this case, my account is only low. Because that is what we have in our Google IDP. This is a Google IDP. And then we have my principal name. It looks like my mail address. It's the same value, but it will never be reused. That is the constraint we have in our organization. So we have the same mail address as we have eduperson principal name or subject ID. But that is defined that we will never reuse it for anyone. And then we have some, you see, we have, this is for metadata. That's not a problem. let's see here if I get more data. Yeah. Identity provider, session attributes, and everything, of course. That was a simple thing. Then we go to entity category here. Now we'll run all our tests. We'll run 1 and 1. So this is Swedish test checking assurance. This will not be done for non-Swedish IDPs because this is what we're doing here. So you're gonna to next test. Next test is anonymous test. If you don't put anything in any requirement into metadata, you should get nothing. And this IDP doesn't care. They send a bunch of data to every service. That's bad, really bad. That's why we are changing our IDP. You know, the shoemaker's kids. So we got an error here. So if I, yeah, I will back out to the release checking in. If we can do that. I need to. I'm logged in. So I will change my IDP. We are using similar access, by the way. And now it will take some time for me to log in, so please bear with me because I need to stop sharing for a while, but while I log in. We have a two-step login here. The first part is supplying the password, and I don't want to share that anyway on any possibility. So this is my second factor. Yes. Yeah. Now I'm logged in. Now I can do that. Here we got a little bit different attribute sets, of course, including subject ID. That's. Do go to integrate tests now and run tests manually. Go through the list, and I need to do my security key every time, because that is how our new IDP is. We are using U2F keys here. So now you see I'm doing everything with assurance level correctly. But I'm missing cappuccino, espresso, but we don't use them. I don't have a local enterprise and so on. But there's a value, but we take next test, the anonymous test. Anonymous test is a test that is quite interesting. That will tell you a lot of things. What is the default release of the IDP without requesting anything? In this case, you don't get anything. And that is how it should be. We go forward to the next test. I will not go through all tests. Yeah. So this is Reefer's anonymous test. It looks at I get my check homogenization and my scope affiliation. If I get more, I got explanation. I got an error. If I get less, I get an error. So this is a way for you to be able to help your institutions. By the way, this is open source. We have a license on it, but you can download and use it and change it as long as you preserve our little messages come from us. Yes, on the soon at GitHub. Yep. So this was the 7 anonymous access test. It's just PHP. Yep. It's totally standard things. So here you got a pairwise ID. As you see here, the long set of numbers at Suntos.se. That is a base 32 encoded value. Why not base 64, you wonder? Base 64 has a case problem. So if you do base 62 and 64, you get at the same value. But with base 32, you get different values. So it's a case folding problem. It's case folding corner case. That's important to know. Eduperson scope affiliation and of course Eduperson insurance. Nothing. It's in our case, because we have forever unique values. We do the same as EPPN. Yeah. Here you see that we have one error. Recommends that Eduperson insurance contains EPA 1 month. That is updating. That's an error from our side. We doesn't release it. We should release it. So that we will fix. But here I got the values again. Here I got more data because it's personalized. And you got subject ID somewhere here. Yeah, here it goes. So here we got everything. And now you see I'm at IAP high in Reef Insurance. Highest level. Because I'm proved by my national EID and furthermore, I also do multi-factor login every time. Yeah, we have a multi-factor authentication test also, but that is just exercising the MFA profile. Yeah. We don't test for SFA. No. More or less, we don't care about SFA. We don't care about password login either. We just care that you do a single factor some way or another. We don't know what that means. It's the multi-factor part we care about.
Passkeys are single factor. So
Passkeys are per default single factor, especially if you have an Apple device. Because Apple doing the wrong stuff, don't follow the standard. They don't use I don't remember the word, but it is possible to check what type of attestation call. You check what type of passkey you use. Is it just a passkey or is it passkey with a PIN code or biometrics? That you don't see with Apple device, whatever type of Apple device. But you see that on an Android device and a Windows device. So in the Windows device and Apple device cases, you can get it as a multi-factor, but in Apple device you cannot. Passkey is just another U2F key.
Yep.
So here is personalized. No, this is Coco. We're asking for different data, checking out, and I don't have an ORC ID here, as you see. With that, I will stop. But because the rest is just repetition. So you can always test this tool. You can use a tool. And Terry can put it into the notes here.
Okay, so I'm going to call that a day. I'd like to thank everybody for attending, those who aren't here now, but those who have been here during the past 3 days, and those who have been here for the whole 3 days. So legendary effort, mostly legendary effort. You had other commitments, that's fine. Also like to thank Brooke and Cal for their presentations today and Monday and Tuesday. It's great to have your assistance this week. I know it's a small crowd, but it's been a very enthusiastic crowd this week. I need to talk to Liana about that. That'll change.
Yeah, isn't it using just IAM? Is it IAM at apan.net as the address? Because there's actually a few mailing lists at some point in time. So maybe I'm emailing in the echo chamber of just myself.
I'm going to get. I might leave, see if we can get the old one left. So reflect that to the working group. And I'll
Maybe turn it into an alias so it still works. But oh yeah, it is IAM.
and I'll get the Slack group renamed as well. Our next gathering is in Pakistan. So there'll be some issues with some folk getting there. I'm hoping to get there to do some stuff. But in the meantime, I want to try and get our community going and get some meetings happening between now and Apan58 to get the community's feedback on what it is that you really want to get out of these face-to-face meetings. So I'll be putting some calls out via the Slack channel, via the task force or the working group mailing lists. And we'll see hopefully some of you in Pakistan the middle of the year, August, I think it is. And if not, then Japan, I think it is next year, first up. So thanks everyone for attending, and that's all. I'm done. We're done. Congratulations. You've got tomorrow and Friday's goals. But tomorrow, if you want to hang around and do some other working groups, or if you just want to have the day off and go and check out Bangkok, or be on a flight back to Sweden.